What is going on, guys? Today we are finally going to be putting the RB20 in the 240 once again, but before we can do that, let's roll that intro. So before we dive on the things we need to do, just want to do a little question of the day. How much power do you guys think this is going to make? Just comment down below, let me know. I'm curious of what your guys' ideas are for how much power this RB is going to make. Before we put the RB in, we have to do the fuel lines, and to do that, since we're going with AN fuel lines, we have to flare the fuel lines, put the fittings on, and then put the hose on, and then we can put the motor in and get the hose to length and everything and go from there. So first, let's get those fuel lines. So here's the fuel lines. This is all we're going to need for right now. I haven't ordered the other parts yet because I don't know exactly which fittings we're going to need. So I've got 4 straights. I've got our 2 for our return and feed. The adapters to go from the hard line to the steel braided. So here's our fuel line. It's -6. We're going to be using the same size feed and return. The reason we're doing that is because I was talking to people who have higher horsepower builds, who have V8s. They have no issues running the same size feed and return with bigger injectors and more cylinders. So we're going to use the same size feed and return, because if it's not an issue for them, it's definitely not going to be an issue for me. So it turns out that this type of fitting, I do not need to flare the fuel lines, which, don't get me wrong, is great, but I had the tool right there. So it's sort of like a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because less work for me, but a bad thing because, you know, the tool's right there. But if we do end up needing it, it is there. It is nice to have. So I'd like to just say I'm not a fan of the colored fittings like this, because I just don't think they look that great. However, this will be pretty much under the car, so it's not a big deal. I like this look way better. The nice black anodized ones, I think those look great. The blue and red ones, I'm not that big a fan. But these were the only ones that I could find that weren't gonna take a month to get to me. So, not a big deal. But just imagine that this is our hard line. You take this guy, put him on, and then you take this guy. You should not forget this. That's what helps create the seal. And then you take this guy, and then you sort of just tighten them up there, and then you get it real tight, tighten it up with some wrenches, and then you are all good to go. So as you just saw, our fuel pump works, and our fittings work. Like, there weren't any leaks or anything there, not that I can see. We're all good there, so that is awesome. That's good to know that I've been putting on the AN fittings correctly this whole time. So now we can get the fitting on to the return, which is this guy there. So after quite a long time of needing to do this, finally looped the power steering lines, and they don't leak, so we're all good there. And there is fluid in there, so shouldn't go dry. Now we just have to put the motor on the hoist, and then we can put the flywheel, the clutch, the pressure plates, and then we can connect the trans. Look who came to help.
Right on time.
That hole right there goes on this pin, right down there. So you can line it up. Oh no, I fucked up already.
Already?
Yeah. I'm glad I noticed it, because if I didn't, and we put the trans on, we'd have to take it off and put this on. Ooh. So once we get all these bolts on, we're going to tighten them down to 35 foot-pounds of torque. And we just tightened the flywheel ones to 80 foot-pounds of torque. So this shouldn't be too bad. So before we get the transmission on, we have to put the throwout bearing in, and to do that we've got to grease the shaft that it's going to be on, put a bunch of grease on it so this can slide easier when it's on there, it can move easy. Now the RB, she's ready to go in. So that was a fucking nightmare. Dude, thank you guys. I could not have done this on my own. I would have been fucked. Like, oh, god damn it. Dude, but we pissed a lot of fluid though. But that's okay. I got plastic sheet on the floor. But oh, she's in again, finally. I've missed seeing her in. But we've got to put the trans mount on, and then that'll be good. Tighten the motor mounts, and then we'll put the drive shaft on in the back. I got the shifter on. We leaked quite a lot of trans fluid, but I did fill her back up before putting the shifter on, so we should be fine there. I still got to tighten the engine mounts and put the trans mount on, but getting that shifter on, trying to work with the very limited space that I have was a bitch. Because I had to get these bolts. These four were pretty easy. These two were a bitch. It was just not fun. But we got it, boys. So now all we got to do is get him under the car and mount the trans. So for some reason I can't get the trans mount to line up. Apparently when you have the R32 crossmember, which I do have, the everything else lines up. And so far everything lines up except the trans mount. The drive shaft lines up and it's the correct length, which is great. But the trans mount does not. Okay guys, so what I'm gonna try to do is, here's the transmission mount crossmember, and these bolts are too far back, so I'm gonna take some flat bar, and it's pretty thick, it's 3/16 of an inch thick, so it should be good. Cut pieces to extend these two holes to over here. I think this hole lines up with the back one, so I just need another hole over here, and then once we get it right, we'll weld it to this piece, and then we could mount it, and then the trans will sit 3/16 of an inch lower, but that's not a big deal. So here's our bracket. We just tack welded it together, as you saw. We did that because in case we mess up, we can just cut those two off. We don't have to cut a full bead of weld off. So we'll line it up. Hopefully these are straight. I know these holes are correct because I went off of the holes that are on this crossmember, and this hole on the crossmember lines up, so it was easy to go, okay, well then that needs to go out to there the same distance, so we should be fine there. The only thing that I'm worried about is whether or not these are straight. They could be crooked a little bit, so we'll line it up and we'll find out, and hopefully we're good. Okay guys, so I messed up. It turns out it's not that hole that lines up, it's actually this middle hole. So I've got to cut them off and move them down, and then hopefully we'll be good. And hopefully I don't have to like notch here, like hopefully there's enough room. Okay guys, so here is the trans mount. little hard to see, but we got her all bolted up. So now we're good. So I could take it off and I could fully weld these two pieces of flat bar to it, and then we'll be good there. Now I think I have to take this off. This is the dust shield. You can see there, it's touching the drive shaft bolt, and I can't move the drive shaft back, and I wouldn't want the drive shaft to slide forward while driving and hit that, so I'm probably gonna have to take that off. Okay guys, so we got our mount over there. You can't really see it, but it's drying. I painted it because I didn't want it to rust. We got the dust shield off, and now the drive shaft sits way better on there. We've got plenty of room, and I tightened up all the bolts for the drive shaft, for the 4 that go to the diff and the 2 on that like loop, because it's a 2-piece drive shaft. In the future I'd like to go 1-piece, but I also like to go CDO9, so I don't want to waste the money on getting a 1-piece and then needing to get a new one made because I went CDO9. So that can wait. Hopefully we don't break the drive shaft. And this guy is drying. In a few minutes I'll be able to put him on. So while we're waiting for that, I'll go ahead and start putting some of the front end back on. Okay guys, so we got her in. We got just about everything hooked up. We don't have the bash bar on, but that doesn't matter. Everything on the motor is all hooked up. So we can finally say that the motor is in with the trans, the whole drivetrain is all hooked up, and that's a big moment. But the shifter does sit forward, so we are going to have to, hopefully we don't have to do any modification to the trans tunnel, like any cutting. I don't think we will because it's not that much forward, but it is forward. First time seeing the motor in the bay with it painted, and it's great. Yeah, so here is a look during the day. It's a little better lighting, everything looks a little better. I'd love to roll the car out, but the sun isn't in a position to where it will shine directly on it, so there would be no point. So we aren't going to be doing that. Alright, well I'm going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you did. Comment down below your answer to the question of the day. And then hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time. Peace.